You don't have to always eat less calories to continue to lose weight, but instead I lost 7 kilos in 12 weeks. That means half a kilo a week. Of course it wasn't always linear. I'll show you my before and after, but I don't want to ramble on too much and get right into it. The first thing that I did to lose weight is actually calculate my maintenance. I have a few videos on this. I'll link them all in the description box. But anyways, to calculate your maintenance, you have to figure out what your TDEE is. I will leave a link in the description box where you can calculate that very easily, and it just shows right up. You can just enter all of your data in there. I'm gonna leave an example of my data on the screen so that you know how to do it, but that's basically the first thing that you need to do. The second step is actually to remain there at maintenance for about 4 to 6 weeks. This is so that your body can get used to those calories and just have a similar intake for a few weeks. I tracked my calories with an app called Yahtzee. You can also use any other calorie tracking app like MyFitnessPal or anything else. A thing that I did here while eating at maintenance, and also in every other step of this process, is that I allowed myself to eat everything that I wanted. Nothing is off limits. There's no food rules. You can eat everything you want. You can eat carbs, you can eat chocolate, you can eat whatever. The only thing is that you remain in your calories. This may seem a bit counterintuitive and unnecessary, but it's really crucial if you just don't really know how much you've been eating before, or you've been in a binge restrict cycle for a long time and didn't always eat consistently. This phase here actually helped me create a lot of food freedom and eliminate a bit of the food guilt that I was feeling before around some specific foods, because I was allowed to eat everything, and the calories that I could eat were actually a lot more than I expected. If you want to track macros as well, I would recommend doing about 26% of protein and splitting the rest between carbs and fats. I personally did not look at macros as much. I try to hit my protein most days. I know it's not always gonna work, but the rest I did not really look at too much. So if you're not tracking macros, that's totally fine as well. The only thing that macros help is like with your hunger. It might be that if you don't hit your macros, you're going to be hungrier, but if you still remain in your calories, you're not going to gain weight. My next step is to go into a deficit. This deficit I would recommend to be about 200 to 500 calories, which is usually 10 to 20% of your maintenance. My calorie deficit was 500 calories, and that means that if I have a maintenance of 2,200 calories, I was eating at 1,700 calories every day. And like I said, 26% of protein, I still kept that, but I didn't hit it every single day. For weight loss, the most important thing is the calories. Like I said, the macros help you feel better and fuller, but if you have days where you can't hit your macros, it's not gonna ruin your progress or your weight loss or anything like that. Just like not hitting your macros doesn't ruin your weight loss, overeating also doesn't ruin your progress or anything like that. You have to look at it at a weekly perspective. So if you overeat one day, you're still going to be in a caloric deficit overall in a whole week. Because, for example, if your maintenance is at 2,200 calories, that would be 15,400 calories in a week. And your deficit, which would be 1,700 calories, is 11,900 in a week. So the weekly deficit is 3,500 calories. If you eat about 500 calories more for a day, let's say, you're still going to be in a 3,000 calorie deficit in the whole week, which is actually just the same thing as if you would eat 72 calories more every single day, which, if you look at it that way, you know it's not going to have such a big impact on your weight loss. So you can let go of your guilt of overeating. It's not going to ruin your progress. And I even still lost weight when I overate for a few days. So just let that sink in. It's not gonna ruin it. The only thing that's gonna ruin your progress is if you spiral and stop being in your calories. Because if you know that it's not gonna ruin your progress, you can just get over it and continue. Because that's what happened to me a lot. I thought it was ruined, I ruined everything, but that's really not true. The next thing is that this phase of the deficit is actually only to be held for about 10 to 12 weeks to avoid a weight loss plateau, and also to just have some kind of end date in mind and keep you motivated throughout this time. I actually did my deficit for 12 weeks and I did not see any kind of weight loss plateau happen in this time, even though I did overeat quite a few times, if I'm being completely honest, because we had some family gatherings and just life, you know. But I still lost weight pretty steadily actually, and I just wanted to say that just keep being consistent and it's going to work. Another thing I want to add to this point is to actually really do this just 10 to 12 weeks, even though you have not reached your goal weight yet. I will tell you how you can still get your goal weight in just a bit. So the next point when you finished these 10 to 12 weeks is actually to start a reverse diet. I don't know if you've heard of this before, but basically you increase your calories again from the point you are at in your deficit, either 50 calories every single week or 100 calories every 2 weeks. You do this till you're back at your maintenance. Reverse dieting actually helps you in the way that you don't have to always eat less calories to continue to lose weight, but instead you go back to maintenance so that you can hold the weight that you have at the moment. Like I said, you bring up your calories to maintenance, and a little hint or just something to pay attention to is that usually when you lose weight, your maintenance does change a little bit. So I would just go back to the link in my description about the TDEE calculator and just calculate it a second time for when you've lost weight, because it impacts the amount of calories that you need to keep your body weight the same essentially. I'm actually in this part of the process of my journey right now, so I am reverse dieting at the moment, and I really thought I was gonna gain weight since I'm gonna increase my calories, but to my surprise I actually have been losing weight still. I mean, it's a lot slower than while I'm in a deficit, of course, but I'm losing weight still, which I did not expect at all. I actually was totally fine with gaining a little bit of weight still because that's what I heard. So from my perspective, it's going great. I would still tell you, like, everybody is different, so it might be that you gain weight in this period, but it also works the other way, so you can still lose weight. Just wanted to say that. Also, next week I'm actually going to do another video which is all about reverse dieting. So if you want to know what it's about and go deeper into what I'm doing right now, I will talk about that in detail next week. The last step of this process is actually to maintain your weight again after doing the reverse diet. So after you've reached your maintenance again, it's time to stay there for a bit so that your body can get used to those amount of calories again. When you've reached this point of your process, there is two things that you can do. The first one is you're happy with where you're at, you're happy with your weight, so you just want to stay at maintenance basically forever. My goal when I get to this point is actually to transition into intuitive eating then, so that I basically don't have to count calories for the rest of my life. That is the first possibility. The second one is that you stay at maintenance for 4 to 6 weeks or even more, and then you go back into a deficit again to lose more weight until you can apply the possibility number 1. So basically the whole thing is that you do this, you get to the last point at maintenance, and then you just repeat until you're happy with where you're at. To be completely honest with you, I've lost almost 10 kilos by now with the part of the reverse diet, and that's just in about 3 to 4 months now. So I think that it's actually pretty good and also really sustainable. So basically that's all of the things that I did to lose 7 kilos. If I'm being completely honest with you, the 7 kilos are just the ones that I lost during the deficit, so during the 12 weeks. I have lost more since then while I was doing the reverse diet, so it's almost 10 kilos now, but I'm really happy with how much weight I've lost. And I still am gonna repeat it later this year and I'll tell you all about it, but that's what I did, and I really hope that it can help you in some way. If you're interested in doing this, in knowing more, in knowing about the reverse dieting process, just subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so that you can see next week's video, which is going to be very interesting as well. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I really hope that I see you in my next video. Bye!